So in the last lecture, we styled this and we used our knowledge about static files to include CSS and set styles as we want to. And if you skipped that lecture, as mentioned, attached to the last lecture, you find a snapshot with all those CSS files. And as one note, you just want to make sure that in your challenge HTML file, you add this fallback clause to this paragraph. Otherwise, this will not be styled correctly for months where it's being shown. Now, as I mentioned in the last lecture, you can of course adjust the styles however you want. This is not a CSS course, so I did not spend hours on that. I just want to have some basic styling here also so that we can see how static files work. And with that, we're at the end of this module. We learned about the very important feature of templates. We learned that templates allow us to define HTML documents with dynamic content, where the content is then set dynamically by Django based on data we generate in our views, which we then pass into our templates with the render function, for example. This context which we pass into our templates can then be used in there. For example, with this interpolation syntax to output and render a value in the HTML document. We can also use filters, optionally, if we want to adjust the look or the formatting of certain values. Now, besides interpolation, we also have tags. For example, the for tag for repeating content and rendering a list of content based on some data. We also have the if tag to render content conditionally. And then we have this important feature of template inheritance, where we define a base template or multiple base templates if we want to, with some blocks reserved in them, which will be replaced or which can be replaced by the inheriting templates. And we then do inherit by using the extends tag and pointing at the base template, the base HTML file we want to inherit from, though that doesn't have to be named base HTML as you learned. And then we insert those blocks here as well in the inheriting template to inject content into that base template, so that we use the base template as a skeleton which we enrich with the specific content we need for this specific template. And we can inject anything, just some text, some HTML tags, or also some static file imports as we're doing it here. Speaking of static files, we also learned how to work with those, that we need to load this feature, but then we can let Django construct these static paths, these static URLs, to include static files like CSS files, images, or JavaScript. Here we're only using CSS, but it would work in the same way for those other asset types as well. We just need to make sure that we store our files in the correct folders, like the static folder in our app folder, and that we have set up the settings py file correctly. For example, for a global static folder, we needed to add that static files dirs list here. For templates earlier, we also had a look at this settings file, and we, for example, made sure that the global templates folder is also included with that dirs setting here. Application template folders are automatically included. Now, for placing our templates, we used this best practice structure of repeating the app name in the app-specific templates folder to avoid name clashes. We're doing the same for static files. And we also learned about the feature of including template files to include snippets into other templates. Another nice feature which helps us with reusing code and avoiding code duplication. The overall goal with that is to keep our views py file lean and to really focus on the logic for extracting and getting and transforming data here, and not on formatting and constructing HTML code. That's the task of the template, and with the knowledge you got in this course section, you are ready to use templates and static files in your own projects as well.